Okay, let's take a look at our cards. We have 2 copies of Predator, a Let's Roll, remove a plot from a good or allied country, draw a card, select the posture of a non-US country. Sistani. Actually, Mass Turnout and Sistani are similar. They both allow you to improve governance in a regime change country. This one's limited to Shia mix countries that have cells. Rendition. It forces the jihadists to discard a card. It allows the US to disrupt ones. The US must be hard. Duravi's Jihad blocks all non-US events that turn. Zawahiri. US may play if no Fatah, Islamist rule, or Al-Anbar. So that would be one we would play for the ops. And this is blocked by Indo-Pakistani talks, which has not yet been played. We would have to place a cell in Pakistan and India, or we can simply discard it at the end of our turn. For their first card, the jihadists play IEDs, an unplayable non-US event that they'll use to recruit in Iraq. They roll a 4 and fail. Next they draw Patriot Act, a playable US event with which they'll plot. They will use that to plot in Iraq. This cell goes active. They roll a die, and they fail. For the US action phase, we're going to play this for the event. The door of each jihad was closed. Fundamentalism binds tactics. This will prevent the jihadists from being able to play any non-US event for the remainder of the turn. And then we're going to play this also for the event renditions, detainees sent to less gentle hosts. To disrupt once in Libya, removing 2 cells, bringing prestige up by 1, and then forcing the jihadists to discard a random card. The jihadists play this unassociated 2-op card to attempt to recruit in Yemen a besieged regime. They roll a 1 and a 5 and succeed in recruiting a cell. Then they play Taliban. The event is blocked by the door of each jihad was closed. They use the 3-ops to attempt to recruit in Yemen again. And all 3 attempts succeed. During the US action phase, we're going to play both Predator cards for the event to remove 2 cells from Yemen. The jihadists will play this unassociated event for the 2-ops to attempt to recruit in Yemen again. And they succeed both times. Then they play this playable US event to plot in a country with troops in Libya, and they succeed twice. 3 and 2. That was a very good turn for the jihadist AI. We're going to have to spend both of these 3-op cards if we want to prevent these plots from resolving. There are no regime change countries at the moment, so I think we'll go ahead and do that to block these 2. For their final card, the jihadists play Wiretapping, an unplayable US event with which they will conduct a major jihad in Yemen. They have 5 more cells than troops. It's a besieged regime, so they would only need 1 instead of 2 successes. They're going to roll 2 dice. It's a 2-op card, and they're looking for a 3 or lower. They roll a 2 and a 6 and succeed in worsening governance from poor to Islamist rule. Forgot to flip these. All cells go active. And this goes away. Their funding goes up by 1 to 6, and their Islamist resources goes up from 0 to 1. This is probably unwise, but given that US is hard, I think I'm going to spend these two for the ops to conduct a regime change operation in Yemen and discard our final card. So that brings 6 troop cubes onto the board. And then we'll roll for governance. Roll 4, it's a poor ally. We're going to go ahead and place this tan side up since it's the end of the turn. And now we have to roll for prestige. And it goes down by 1. Down to 4, still in the medium section of the prestige track, which means we get no die roll modifiers when we conduct War of Ideas operations. Alright, so that is the end of turn 16. Jihadist funding goes down to 5. We draw 8 cards this turn. Jihadist AI draws 8 cards as well. Turn 17, here is our hand. Special Forces. Remove a cell from a country containing troops or adjacent to a country with troops. Al-Azhar. Test Egypt, which is good ally. Drop funding. UN nation building. Play if a country is marked with regime change. Like that. And place an aid there, roll a War of Ideas as if GWOT penalty 0. Well, the penalty is 0, but we could really use the aid. Tora Bora, play if at least 2 cells in regime change country. Like that. Remove the 2 cells, roll prestige, draw a card. Roll prestige. You roll a die, on a 5 or 6 it rises, on a 1, 2, 3, or 4 it drops. But our prestige right now is low, meaning on all War of Ideas rolls, we get a -1 die roll modifier. We're at 3 on the track. It's still bad if it goes down any further, but we may be desperate enough to try that. Plus we get a card. We get this Guantanamo card over and over. This also would allow us to roll prestige. And no recruit operations or detainee release for the rest of the turn. I'll think about that. I think that these are our only 3 ops cards, so I may hang on to that at least till the end of the turn to make sure we don't need it to do something urgent, like block a plot or do something in a country with poor governance. Oil price spike. Really good for digging through the discard pile. I've yet to use it in that manner, but again, it's one of our 2 3-ops cards. XKGB, if CTR mark in Russia, remove it. If not, set Caucasus to opposite posture of US. It's currently the same at hard, or test and shift Central Asia 1 box toward adversary. We're at fair allies. This is pretty bad. This is maybe the one that we're going to choose to discard, which means that we might need to play this, detainee release. It would only be resolved if we disrupt during the action phase. We play this, or the one previous to that, place a cell where a disrupt occurred, draw a card, meaning the jihadist player, the AI, would draw a card. This is blocked by Guantanamo. So this may be the card that we really hold on to. I like having more than one, but in case a terror plot appears, we can use that. Still, I think I'll hold on to these 4 towards the end and start with probably these 2. The first jihadist card is Benazir Bhutto, blocked by Bhutto shot. A unplayable US event. They'll use it to recruit in Iraq. And they successfully recruit 1 cell. Their second card is Kurdistan. If jihadists test Turkey and worsen its or Iraq's governance 1 level but not to Islamist rule. Test Turkey. poor, dropped from good to poor ally. Then they'll spend the 2 ops to recruit in Iraq. They succeed. We're going to play Tora Bora as the US to remove 2 cells from Yemen. Roll prestige. It falls by 2. We draw a card. We get Al Jazeera. Play if Saudi Arabia or an adjacent country has troops. Next we'll play UN nation building to place 1 aid in Yemen and roll a war of ideas. We roll a 4 to improve governance. 5, 6, minus 1 is 5. We succeed in bringing governance up from poor to fair. Jihadists play clean operatives. Trained jihadists without known terrorism nexus automatically travel 2 cells anywhere. Anywhere. We're going to roll on this again, twice. 5 and 6, Yemen. 1 and 3, roll Schengen. 6, Italy. Italy and Yemen. Well, for Yemen, we'll travel within the country. For Italy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From Iraq. From the country that has the most active cells. I'm sorry, from Yemen. For their second card, they get US election. Alright, so they will resolve the event first, which is roll US posture. They stay at hard, and penalty is at 0, so we gain a prestige going up to 2. And then they'll spend the 3 ops to conduct a minor jihad in Yemen, I believe. Rolling 2. They roll 1 success, bringing their governance down from fair to poor. We remove 1 cell and this aid marker. We're going to play detainee release for the ops. Play if US disrupted this or last action phase. We'll do the event first. This seems a little gamey, but I think it's legal. And then we're going to spend the ops to disrupt in Yemen. Removing a cell, bringing our prestige up to 3. Then we'll play special forces for the ops to deploy troops back to the troop track. That brings intensity down to low. Next, the jihadists will play this unplayable US event to recruit cells to Iraq, and they succeed in recruiting 1. For their second card, they'll play this playable US event to instead plot in Libya, rolling 2 dice. They roll a 3 and a 4, and succeed in placing 1 plot in Libya. We'll spend these 2 cards for the ops to block this plot and disrupt in Libya, raising our prestige up to 4. For their last action phase, the jihadists will play this to plot in, let's see, Italy, rolling a 5 and failing. Then for their last card, play if enhanced measures, renditions, or wiretapping is in the event box. Wiretapping is in the event box. So this is leak, controversial US program exposed. Flip one such marker, blocking event, roll US posture, and then prestige. Shift an ally to neutral. We have wiretapping and rendition. Flipping wiretapping, let's see, I guess it wouldn't matter. We'll flip renditions and roll for US posture. We roll a 5, it stays at hard. Then prestige. We roll a 5, which means it actually goes up by 3. 1, 2, 3. We're up in the high zone again. Shift an ally to neutral. Wow. Let's see here. Minor jihad or shift governance or alignment because of leak among good. That would be Egypt, Sudan, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Somalia. Then we look over here. Pakistan first, and then countries with aid. And then besieged regimes. And then countries with the highest resource, which would be Saudi Arabia or the Gulf states. I don't think I mentioned that before. So we have Egypt, Saudi Arabia, or the Gulf states. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We roll a 2. Egypt shifts to neutral. We are going to focus on Syria now. We're going to first spend these 3 ops. The event doesn't get triggered because we deployed troops out of Yemen back to the troop track to instead conduct a war of ideas in Syria to improve governance from poor to fair. We get a +1 for aid, a +1 for prestige, a +1 for being adjacent to a good ally, and no penalty. So we're at a +3. We roll a 2, and that succeeds. And then we'll spend these 2 ops to do the same thing, but this time to improve alignment. +3 again. We roll a 3 and bring it up to ally. And we'll discard XKGB. Jihadist funding drops to 4. Our prestige stays at 7 or high. And we're currently looking like this on the victory track. At 12 good resources. We want to stay there. We want to be here at least at the end of the game. And we want to make sure this Islamist resources does not reach the 6 box.